Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, live viewer chat, the final bets, DraftKings picks, and whatever it is else that we're going to talk about on the show. Thank you for joining me live over your lunchtime, or if you're one of those fantastic people who are either listening on delay, or listening later on tonight, or listening on the audio podcast feed, I want to thank you all. But if you're here live or on the video afterwards, you smash the like button to the episode. Let me know who your contrarian play for one and done in the comment section is. Not in the live chat. If you're watching it afterwards, or if you're watching it live, you can go back and chat after it's done and post that in the comments. I want to fill up the live chat with all of this stuff. I can't see anything in the chat right now. That's really strange. That's probably not great. Not off to a hot start on that end. Let's see if I can load this up. Additionally, I do want to let you know that Tambo has that giveaway going on, and I would recommend that you get into it because it sounds like it's going to be pretty good. And all, hinges on him doing well at King of the Desert, but he's inside the top 50 right now. It gets cut down to 15 this week. If he makes the 15 and comes inside the top 3, he's giving away 5% of his winnings if he comes inside the top 3. There's $500,000 to first place. He's going to give away 5 winners if he wins at $5,000 apiece. Now, it might be $0. I understand that. You understand that. But you might as well take your shot, right? And it's pretty easy to do so. Just sub to the Mayo Media newsletter. That's free to do. Down in the description right now, and I have a bunch of information. There's another one coming out on Wednesday evening with all the finalized things going on. And then leave an audio rating and review on both Apple, that would be one ballot, and then on Spotify, that's another one. You subscribe to the show, turn on auto downloads, and then rate it 5 stars, and boom, you are on your way. If you've done it before, if you've done it like the last 3 weeks, then you don't need to do it again. But if you haven't done it in the last 3 weeks or ever, please go update that or leave a fresh one right now, because here's the sneaky thing. The Pat Mayo Experience is currently inside the top 100 overall sports podcasts in America and Canada at the moment. So even little tips on this, the ratings will bump it up momentarily. So now that we're trending in a really good direction right now, which makes sense. January is always one of my best months because football and golf are going on concurrently, and I just have more shows coming out. But that extra little push of the ratings and review will really pop it up the charts, which would be nice to see during this time of contract negotiation for one old Pat Mayo having a top 50 podcast in America. That would be good for the bottom line of the show, which means we could do more shows, maybe longer shows, maybe more live shows for everyone out there, completely free as always. And if you do live in the UK or Ireland or big in Portugal for reasons unknown, South Africa, Australia, if you're in one of those countries and you're watching or listening to this right now, please go leave the audio rating and review. Just marginal bumps from those places. Marginal bumps. Yeah, there's no such thing as a marginal bump on a Saturday night now, is there? But it is really important for us to be popular around the world, and little things like that will help us boost up in the algorithm. So that's Pat Spiel as I've been trying to load in the chat section. I have no idea why it's not popping up. There we go. Dustin, maybe he is the first one who left everything in. One thing I do want to try out today, we'll see if it works, is if I can actually, if you want to call into the show, we're going to try this out. So it might only last for one person because I might be absolutely terrible. I've had terrible experiences with this in the past. But you good people are tuning in live on a Wednesday afternoon over your lunch hour, that maybe this is a spot where we can try this out just a little bit. We'll see if it works that way. I probably should have set this up beforehand instead of doing it in real time. Oh, I can do it just like that. Let's see if I go to that and I go to Chrome Share and I want to window capture my Fantasy National screen. Where am I doing that at? Chrome Share. Of course that's not coming up because that's window capture. That's exactly what I want. Oh yeah, it's because I'm not in Fantasy National right now. That's probably why. If we go to live streaming, yeah, screw it. Let's try that. See what happens. Boom, there's Fantasy National. So you can see what I'm doing over at fantasynational.com right now. If I take that, producing this by myself in real time live with just doing an impromptu show may have not been the best idea. I'm not going to lie to you on that one. But there we go. It's now up on the screen. You can see what I'm looking at. This is my DraftKings pool. This is the second run of my DraftKings pool because I had Sungjae and Xander in it before, but then I cut out, and it had Tom Kim in it. Then I cut out everyone from Minwoo Lee and down, DraftKings-wise at least. That's what I was planning on doing this week. And then I cut off at Ben Coles on the bottom end at $7,100. So I made a bunch of lineups that way. I also made other lineups. I think I made 15 this way and 15 with extra people at the top, and then some of the players down at the bottom. Like I used Johnny Vegas, who, as you can see, as we bring him up here. I also bet him, when I get into the final bets, I bet him at 300 to 1 with 10 places, because I like throwing away money. But at the Sony, it wasn't great on approach, but the driving has been immaculate. The putting has been an absolute disaster. So that was his first start back in almost a year. It's been 10 months of a layoff for Johnny Vegas at this point. That this has always been a good vibes place for Johnny Vegas, a place where he can generate a ton of eagles. He had a win here. It's almost 15 years ago now. But at a place where his skill sets can be utilized, he might come dead last because he might put himself out of the tournament, or the approach play may not be back as of yet, but I do like him a little bit this week as a flyer, because if he does play well, especially DraftKings wise, that his scoring potential, because of the eagles that he can generate and the birdies that he makes, might be a nice little filler piece down at $6,600. Now the article has, the showdown strategy for the week. It has the course breakdowns, and it has everything you need to know. If you didn't know, everyone gets a guaranteed 3 rounds this week. It's a 3-course rotation. Everyone plays the Pete Dye Stadium course on Sunday. So that was just a little bit of a DraftKings little dig in there for the moment. I suppose we can jump back and try to take a look at the ownership, as I have not looked at the ownership today. Maybe there are some players sticking out a little bit more than what I would have thought to begin with. And we can just kind of scroll over to that right now. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty flat at the top. Scheffler, by the numbers, Scheffler coming in lower owned than Schauffele, Cantlay, and Im. I think the conventional wisdom this week was that Cantlay would be super high owned, Sungjae would be super high owned, and people would play Scheffler because he's Scheffler, which may still not be wrong. When we get the results, these could be off by like 6-7%. You never know. And it would be Xander who would slip through the cracks. But I think that there was enough of a talk about Xander slipping through the cracks that now all of a sudden that he's going to be like on par, probably where he should be. The guys that you probably do want to play, that I'm not necessarily building around, Cuss one and done. Jason Day, not a ton of people are using Justin Thomas, it seems, or Min-Woo Lee, or Burns, or Finau, or Fowler. Essentially, everyone's going double up above $10,000. Or one of, and then dropping to Poston, Kirk, or Eric Cole. Those are the big ones there. Wyndham Clark getting squeezed a bit, but the popularity has come around. If you want the true low-owned play, you play Shane Lowry at 8,700 of that bunch. As you can see, I did, because there is a star next to his name. From that range, I played Min-Woo and Burns, Kirk and Clark, and Lowry and Siwoo, then Hadwin, Bhatia, and Montgomery. All Montgomery, Bhatia, and Hadwin, along with Andrew Putnam and Yagabombs, who I'm also playing, are all right around. Montgomery's tracking the most at around 15%, but if all of a sudden Hadwin was 18% and Montgomery was 14%, it wouldn't stun me. But all 5 of those guys, with Daniel Berger getting squeezed, because he hasn't played in 20 months, that no one really wants to take that chance. Zalatoris, in his second run, is looking like he's not going to be owned at all. The guys that everyone's kind of dropping to, Eric Van Rooyen should crack double digits. Smalley should be just around there. Ditto with Sam Ryder. And then after that, it's really no one. So these are... I wonder how this build is going to work. Because right now, Tambo and I tried to construct all these lineups, right? When it came to everyone at on the show, we tried to do the double up. Where do you go after that? I know Baroff wanted to mention Jake Knapp. There he is, 1.3%. There's your play at $6,800 if you really want it. But everyone else, there's no one in the 6K range popping. I guess per Tyler Duncan, it says calculated ownership 3.3%. He's been generated in 7% of Fantasy National generated lineups that people are actually generating right now. So maybe he's one that you see get up there. Toasty at 6.3% of generated lineups. He's another one who could spike a little bit. I'm not talking double-digit percentages on this at all. I'm talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 if everyone just gets on the same guy. Ryan Moore seeing a little bit of love. But it's funny that you can have all of these guys above $10,000 that are generating upwards of 20%, 15%. Yet there's really no one in the lower sevens outside of Ryder that seems to be a somewhat popular play. That doesn't jibe at all. So either people won't play the 2 above $10,000, and that all the lineups that you see this week are going to essentially be Cantlay with Cole and Poston, Scheffler with Cole and Poston, those sorts of lineups. Or you go Cantlay, Poston, and then you drop to that Montgomery, Hadwin range, and then take an EVR or whoever it is in that mid 7,000. That's a way that you can balance it out. So expect to see a lot of those builds this week. Now, I'm not here to tell you if they're right or wrong. I have no fucking idea about any of this stuff, what is actually going to happen. My track record, very much speaks for itself on that. But if you just intuitively go through the builds, that those are the most logical based on the people that, like, you can't just play everyone that you want to play. There's a salary cap involved. So how can people jam in as many of the plays that they think are going to win this week and then fill it out with the quote unquote consistent guys? So there's a lot of room to pivot, and mainly it's with like Shane Lowry and most of the guys in the $9,000 range. That would be my take. That's why when you can see the guys that I had highlighted here, once we jump back, I will click back over and I show my favorites. So 17 favorites. I think I actually did 20 lineups with these. So 17 players for 20 lineups that I capped it at 9.5 in terms of everyone with Min Woo Lee. So Lee, Burns, Kirk, Clark, Lowry, Siwoo, Hadwin, Bhatia, Jagger, Montgomery. Pendrith was one that I didn't like at the beginning of the week, but just seemed like everyone was off of him. He's been playing some pretty good golf, to be perfectly honest with you. You can check it out. Like, his strokes gained total were bad at the RSM. Other than that, a 3rd, 15th, 8th, 10th. Why not, right? So let's see what he's done at Amex. He missed the cut in his one start 2 years ago. I'm not too concerned about that. Someone who's played a course once. We've seen him do well at the Players' Championship before. He's a funny mix of a player that, because of his prodigious length off the tee, you just assume that Torrey Pines would be the perfect spot for him. But a lot of his best results historically have come at shorter courses. However, this is a really interesting one because these are shorter courses by and large, with small greens, places where he's played well. But these courses also have very gettable par 5s, which will be able to use his distance in those circumstances. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for him in a lot of ways. Johnny Vegas is actually kind of similar to that when you look at his historic. He's going to play well at some longer courses, but we've seen him spike at Honda or the Players' Championship. Maybe it's just a Florida thing for Johnny Vegas. Who knows when it comes down to it? But that's why I ended up on Pendrith. Then the rest of the guys I think I've talked through throughout the course of the week. So that's my simplified DraftKings breakdown. The Listeners League is not full yet. It is now open. The link is down in the description. The NFL one, I can't remember if I put it in there or not. There's only 750 in that one. I posted it on Twitter earlier, so you might want to get your spot in the NFL one right away because that's going to fill immediately. But we need to get this PGA one filled before anything else. And if you do want to get a membership at fantasynational.com, it's fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Code Mayo works over at Ship It Nation as well. If you want to use the stats, data, and lineup building tools along with the ownership projections and mix them with the color that Tambo and crew have over at Ship It Nation, Code Mayo gets you 10% off their golf-only packages. And because they had such a good week last week, they're extending that promotion forward where if you sign up with Code Mayo right now up until next Tuesday, you'll have a chance to have the entire year comped for you regardless of the membership level that you get in. If you buy an annual, you get your money back. If you bought the weekly, you get upgraded to the year-long fee if you use Code Mayo at Shippin' Nation. So I just wanted to throw that out in case you're interested. If you're not, smash the like while you're here and do that for free for us. And we're always going to have the free content if that's not something that you want to get involved with. Bets for the week. Let's see what we got cooking here. Well, I know what I got cooking here. I still haven't made my finalized decision yet on what I want to do at the top of the board. I might pass altogether. So right now, as it stands, I have Sam Burns leading my card at 35-1. So that's where I ended up wanting to go with that. So Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark at 45-1. And then I had, who the hell did I have after that? I had Taylor Montgomery at 55, Chris Kirk 66-1 with 5 placements. So 66-1, half the bet on the top 5 at 1/4 of those odds, which is what? 16.5-1, 16.75-1, whatever it might be. There was a 30% boost at Bet365, and I thought about boosting Sungjae up to 24-1, but because I wanted to play the each way with Kirk, and it still gave me full each way, that boosting him from 50 up to 66, I thought made more sense to me based on what I wanted to bet, and I wasn't completely sure what I wanted to do at the very top. After that, I have EVR at 100-1 with 5 placements. So those are the big 5. I have a few bombs this week. I have Nick Taylor at 125-1, Matty Schmidt at 125-1, both with 5 places. Johnny Vegas, as I mentioned, 200-1 with 10 placements. You could have bet him at 300-1 with 5 placements, but I wanted that top 10 equity at 1/5, just in case he ended up coming through. And then it's dry January, Harrison Endicott, everyone's on. I put $5 on him to win at 400-1, $5 on the each way. So it's still pretty nice. It'd be 100-1, so it'd be $500 if he comes inside the top 5 off a $5 bet. So 10 total, 5 and 5 on each side. In case you didn't know how each ways worked, that is how they work. I am still deciding on a few guys. Maybe you guys can help me out in the chat, or hell, if you want to join the show, Did I freeze? It looks like I froze. This stupid camera. Why does it keep doing this to me? Why am I freezing all the time? Never any good on this part. Now I have to shut this down and bring this back up. So we're going to quit the camera. We're going to bring it back up. And it seemed like I unfroze the minute I did that. So that's fantastic news. Bear with me for 1 second. My 4K camera is not going well for me. You can see behind the scenes now of what's going on. I should probably, bring up... let's see. What do I want to bring up? Let's just bring up Taylor Pendrith's page again because that's what I have open. No, actually, I can probably bring you back to my favorites and you can check out my custom model that I have built in terms of how the power rankings are sorted on Fantasy National right now as I turn the camera back on. And we're back. The camera is working. I can see myself moving on the screen again. That's always good. This has happened a few times to me when I've been doing shows from home. I like doing shows from home because that just means it's impromptu. I can jump on and give away my thoughts. Problem is, Paul isn't here, and I have a far more rinky-dink setup at my home office than I do at the actual studio. So sometimes I can't see problems materializing in front of me, and I can't just be like, hey, Paul, can you fix that for me? I physically have to go do it myself. I froze on a show the other day. I think it was the one I did with Davis. He just didn't tell me that I was frozen on the screen. I guess he was trying to be very polite. That doesn't always work out the best for everyone when you're trying to produce a video show. One and done for the week. So in the three-man one and done, I took Taylor Montgomery. I think I'm going to go with Sam Burns in the race for the Mayo Cup because I'm just trying to think like contrarian-wise, and I do think that this is where Fantasy National can come in to help you out again in this circumstance because we just kind of go back and take a look at that projected ownership and like even in the betting market as well. I think it's Golf Tips Checker. I totally forgot. I'm sorry that I forget what your Twitter handle is, but he always puts out a really good thing where it's like the percentage of who the most bet on or most touted people of the week. Like that's usually a good indicator of who people are taking in the one and done. Now, granted, this isn't an elevated event. The prize pool is minuscule as opposed to some that you're going to see throughout the course of the year. So that's why I just don't think a lot of people are going to use Burns. And I'm not saving him for a major. I'm probably not saving him for an elevated event. He might screw me and get hot at that time and everyone jumps on him. But like Eric Cole's going to be popular. JT Poston would be my pick to be the most popular. If you wanted to go with one of the top guys, like Sung Jae will be very highly owned at this one, I think. So will Tom Kim. Probably not Minwoo. People want to wait and see what he's up to. But like Scotty, Xander, and Cantlay, I assume people are saving for a better shot. So that's why you would drop into this range here. Like, not a bad time to use Siwoo. Not a bad time to use Burns. Ricky is really interesting. He didn't play well at all in his first start at the Century. And a good news for anyone who's a Fantasy National member, we've been going back and forth with ShotLink because they provide us with all of our data. And they were super slow with Sony this week. And then they gave us the wrong fucking stats for both Century and Sony. Moose stayed up all night, got it worked out. He filtered everything through. And so everything is up to date for Sentry and Sony now. We really apologize for that because it just, it makes us look like assholes when we're trying to put up the stats and I want to talk about it on the show and you guys want to use it. And they're like, no, our stats are good. And it's like, no, they're fucking bullshit. They're not good. Figure it the fuck out. We pay well into... Well, I don't want to say how much we pay for it, but it's a lot of money that we pay to get that, to make sure that it's legal, to make sure that it's supposed to be up to date, on time, live stats, all that. And when they're feeding us bullshit stats, like, come on, give your fucking head a shake, all right? But we haven't figured it out right now, so all the stats are good on Fantasy National. I think that we have that sorted going forward. If there is an error, Moose can now clean it up very easily. Of note, there's only 2 courses with ShotLink this week on Fantasy National and on your Shot Tracker app, no matter what it is. So, once again, that would be kind of the move. I kind of like this range here. So, Sam Burns will be locked in for one of my one and dones. I have 2 teams in the race for the Mayo Cup. This other range that I'm looking at here, the low 8,000s, like EVR, I could see you could try to take a flyer on him. There might be better tournaments to use him because I guess he won Mexico, so he's in kind of everything now. So he'll still probably show up to loser tournaments. But like Jagger, Putnam, Bhatia might actually be my play. And he was kind of the last one. I mentioned that I had a few guys that I wanted to get through in terms of the top. So really, it came down to I cut out Minwoo. I like Minwoo's odds. I like Minwoo this week. I'm not going to bet him. So it's between Tom Kim and Sung Jae. I can get them both at 22. There might be a place where I could squeeze at 24, but I may need to deposit to the site. Like, I don't know if I just want to do that. I'll take the fucking 22. I'm not the sharpest guy in the world. I just like to be convenienced, and that would be more convenient for me to not have to go like re-up on accounts, see if do they take PayPal? Do they take crypto only? Like, that's just a fucking headache. I'd rather just do it where I have the money online already, or pass on those guys and take Bhatia at like 65-1, playing with 5 places. Then the highest guy on the card is 35-1 with Burns. So I don't stand to lose a lot if I get wiped out this week, despite having a ton of bets, because obviously the monetary value that you have to put down on someone who's 20-1 versus someone who's 66-1 is completely different, unless, I mean, that's the way that I play it. Maybe you guys play it differently. I don't know. That might be a show that I'm coming up with in the future, how to bet on golf, if you're wondering. And I'll have like actual smart people on the show who are good at this stuff, who can explain markets, and then I can just kind of run through what I do. And listen, I win some years, I lose some years. I'm probably break even life, and that's with a few really giant scores. Betting wise, DraftKings wise golf, I'm way up lifetime just because of a few big hits, and I never get too crazy with that. But betting wise, you hit 5 winners a year, you're going to be up money, more than likely, unless you're just terrible with bankroll management. So Sam Burns in the one and done as sort of an offshoot, still higher odds type play. Still deciding. I think I've just talked myself out of Tom Kim as we've been going along. I guess the whole thing would be, when I came into the week and I did the research show, anyone who watched that, I was big on Sung Jae. I thought Sung Jae had a very live chance. He's been really good at this tournament. And someone kind of said to me, because I put it out, between these 4 guys, I need to pick 1 or 2. And I picked Burns, better odds, and the more I dug into Burns, he's been good at this course over his career. He's been good at Pete Dye courses and strategy courses off the tee, despite being someone who's not super accurate with his driver. These courses really do fit his eye. So I'm going to go with Sam Burns, and we know he can run the hot putter. But someone had made mention, like, who would it be that if they won, you'd be kicking yourself for not betting them? And the answer to that question is Sung Jae for me this week, because he was the first guy I had identified. It was like last week going into the Sony. The first guy I had identified as a good bet for the week was Byung-hun An. By the time it came to bet, I didn't bet him, and I was, thank God I won money last week, and Benny ended up blowing it. But if he had won and I wasn't on him and I didn't win on DraftKings, I'd be fucking livid. But that's where we're at the moment. So Sung Jae is a high probable. All the finalized bets and reasoning, write-ups, all of that will be in the newsletter this evening. So subscribe to it right now for free. That's down in the description, the comment section, whatever it might be. Help me out by sharing it around, because that's where my article is now populated. I like people reading my content. It's completely free. It's not like you got to pay for it. And I know that people are struggling to find it, because when you search in like Pat Mayo, American Express, like they used to, it used to bring you to DraftKings Network. Now it's in the newsletter, and that doesn't just pop up on Google right away. You have to know how to get there. So the more that people share it around, the better off it's going to be for me. So I really appreciate that if you could help me out. But if you do subscribe to the newsletter right now, you get in that Tambo draw as well. So, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. To it. Rate and review the audio podcast as well. So that's the main crux of what I wanted to get to this week. I'm going to check back in with what is going on in the chat at the moment. Does anyone want to join the show? I guess that's what I got cooking right now. I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. I'll try to answer a few. If you want to get into the chat or want to actually call into the show, good Lord, this is going to be a terrible idea, isn't it? I hope this is not a terrible idea. You have to have Zoom. And you know what? You don't even need to have a video. If you don't want to appear by video, that's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. But if you do, I can try to finagle it to go through. So I'm going to bang off a few of these questions, and we'll see. Scrimshaw. All right, Scrimshaw, you want to come on? You can do it. I mean, you're the guy that is the historian of the show. I will send you a Zoom link. You can hop on. How about that? Jordan Spieth isn't even playing this week, so I have no idea. Oh, dear Lord, what did I just press? Let's get out of that. All right, Scrimshaw, I'll find you on Twitter. Just give me a moment here. New message. Everything's going slow because I'm streaming at the same time. Scrimshaw. For someone who has been such a big part of the show over the years, has never been on. He actually sent me a list of cuss boomer tips over the years too, which are absolutely hilarious. So I'll let you know when he's on. I'll try to rifle through some of these live questions right now and see if we can do it. All right. Stallings or Neesmith? Neesmith. I'm playing Cantley in one and done. All right, that's not a fucking question, you fucking goober. Get out of my chat. Good afternoon. I know you use the weather for DFS picks. Do you use it for outright win picks? Not as much, and there's really like nothing to look at this week in terms of weather. Nothing seems too crazy. Who's the guy top 10 in odds that is being talked about the least? Is Ricky still inside? Like, no one is. Ricky could be a good one and done here. Like, literally, no one is betting Ricky. No one is using Ricky on DraftKings. No one is using him in the one and done. He would probably be the guy right now. Good day, Pat. Done real good last week because of you. 602 points. Hoping for good information from you this week. You're the best. Thank you. You're the best, Joanne. Thank you. Trying to get like 2 good weeks of advice in a row is nary impossible. So watch out for that going forward. Scrimshaw, I sent you the link on Twitter if you want to join. And you can like ping me again. No one going to Endicott? I did bet Endicott. I'm not using him on DraftKings. I think the bet is more fun and like hilarious at the same time. So good. Is Eric Cole too chalky of a one and done play? I don't think so. I think there's probably the move would be if you really want to utilize Eric Cole, maybe you can use him this week. Maybe he wins. He's live to win, obviously. Look at his odds for the week. But the move would be to not use Eric Cole now. Let people punch themselves, use him on like a 20% clip. Then we get to Honda or one of these super weak field events that he is still playing in and use him like 2 months from now if he's still all right. That's what I'm doing with Eric Cole. My sleepers are between Merritt, you, and Bobby Mack. I don't know which you. Is it Kevin? Is it Brandon? Dylon. There is no Brandon Yu. It's Brandon Wu. Dylon Wu. I'll just say Bobby Mack. I don't like any of those guys, though. Can Eric Cole win? Of course Eric Cole can win. Eric Cole can win this week. I just don't think he's going to win. Do you can still consider Akshay boom or bust? Do you trust that his recent consistent results are a sign of his ascension to the upper tiers? I'm hoping so. And maybe I'll just end up betting Sungjae and Akshay anyway. I don't want to miss out on another Akshay win. But now that he's switched to this longer putter, you're going to have blips. However, he has putted a lot better. And these are slower greens. So he's always been better on slower greens versus faster greens. Just when you kind of go and look at his results and just go eyeball it. I can bring that up right now. Where are we at here? Let's fade over and let's look at my guy, Bhatia. There he is. He ranks 12th in the short-term modeling of past 24 rounds as well. But you can see I have Sentry, super slow green. Sony a bit faster, not as good. And then you see a lot of losses. Mexico, super slow, gains 5.5. But you can just see the driving has been really good. Even last week, the approach was excellent. And just the results have been there. Like, even when he putts poorly, he's still getting results a lot of the time. Now, I know that we don't have putting stats from Bermuda or Mexico. I don't know about Japan. I can't really speak to that one. But I can tell you that the Cabo greens are super slow and the Bermuda greens in Bermuda are super slow. Ditto for Corrales, ditto for Puerto Rico. All of the Caribbean Paspalum or the Bermuda that they use tend to run super slow versus what you see midway through a PGA Tour season. Did I send this to the right person? I'm letting him in right now. Scrimshaw, you on the line? It says that I let someone in. I don't see where they are, though. See, this is why it would probably be helpful to do this. If I had anyone, whoever that was, if that was you, try to join again and maybe actually join this time. We'll see how that works. Ignore my stupid Zoom name. Okay, that wasn't him. So you actually have to join. I admitted you. So if that didn't work, try it again. There we go. Using someone else's Zoom account at the same time? I like it. Now, when you're on the line, you can actually let me know and actually say something. And that way... Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just chilling. Trying to figure out if I just need to bet everything on Scotty Scheffler this week.
I'm not. Is that the one bet you want to make?
I'm debating it. Like, isn't this just the kind of tournament where he's going to make every putt and we're going to be mad that he did it at the Amex and not literally any important event for the last 8 months?
By the numbers, this doesn't usually start till Phoenix for him when he starts making every putt. That 3-month stretch basically between Phoenix and the Players, like towards the end of the Florida swing, is where we would go. I would think at least, but he's too short for me to bet. Like, do you really want to bet someone at 5-1 to win a golf tournament that has 156 people in it that is essentially a putting contest?
Yeah, but the thing is, I bet him at Phoenix last year and I won.
He was 17-1 last year.
Was he that deep?
Yeah, because Rahm was winning everything.
Oh yeah, he was that deep. See, I mean, I guess it's a decent field. I just feels like Scheffler needs one. It's been
What?
so long.
I mean,
I just look at these ball striking numbers.
yeah, well, I mean, the ball striking numbers are immaculate. I'll bring those up right now. The Scheffler ball striking numbers are awesome. Let's see. Yeah, like look, he might hit it to 3 feet every time, but there's all. So I think the two ways you have to and listen, it's not like his Amex results are bad whatsoever. They're actually quite good, and he's gained at the stadium course putting in all three of his trips here. So a 25th, a miscut, and a third. He has another one because it's under American Express. He was 11th a year ago and actually lost strokes putting. But yeah, we know he's going to gain ball striking. But I think in order to compete in this tournament, if he has his general shit putting, which I think you almost have to account for at this point that he's going to lose 2 strokes putting over the course of the week. He's one of the few guys that can actually win doing that. But now we play at a tournament that's accessible to even the lower rung of players. We've seen so many long shots win at this course. And we've seen Rahm win twice as a favorite, but even like the other guys who like periodically win, like Siwoo was 40, Duffner was 40, Bill Haas was 35. Like the overwhelming favorite rarely wins because you do have to make so many putts, and then you have guys behind you who are not as good as you, but just start draining every 12-footer because it's a short, easy course. Like guys make birdie from the fairway at the stadium course at an over 30% clip. Like that's everyone in the field. Even the shitty guys in the field are a part of that average. So I don't know. Is he going to stick everything to 3 feet every single time? Maybe. But I can live with that if I didn't bet him because he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, what's he gonna? So I assume he's not playing Tory, but like, what's he gonna be in Phoenix? And do we think that the boost in odds is worth the increase in field strength? Because if he's gonna go off at Phoenix at like 8, then this is a better value for the field strength.
See, I
But if
don't
he
think
goes off
so
at
because
12, it's not.
Phoenix isn't elevated. It's not. I don't know if the Phoenix field is going to be markedly better than this.
Everybody loves Phoenix though.
Yeah, that's fine, but it's surrounded by 2 elevated events now.
Is Tory elevated?
No, Pebble is elevated.
Yeah. I guess yeah, but I guess people I don't know. I don't know how many people are gonna play Tory if they don't have to.
They're not going to. Like I think Lowry's committed, Finau's committed. Shout out to my guy Jack Humphrey. He actually sent me a sheet on this earlier today. Now I can't find it for the fucking life of me. Well, I do have it. It's just upstairs on my computer. I don't have it on this one, but it's like an okay field. I didn't see all the commitments for Phoenix, but it goes Tory, Pebble, Phoenix, Riv. Everyone's playing Pebble. Everyone's playing Riv.
Oh yeah, damn it. I forgot that Pebble is now I forgot I have the old schedule in my head, the pre week 18 football schedule. That's yeah, it is bracketed. Um yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. It probably won't be that much better of a field. Um the other question, um like is it a coherent strategy to just take like 6 guys, like all the guys that you and Jeff listed at the back end of your like bomb section? Is that a coherent strategy this week? Because like I think we all remember Adam Long winning it, God whatever number that was, but like do the 100 ones actually win, or is it really the 50s and 60s and 80s?
Well, I think that you have to readjust your expectations based on what the market is right now. Like Adam Long won at 600 to 1 in 2019. Like how many guys in this field are even 600 to 1? Like before there used to be guys at 1,000 to 1 in golf tournaments, and those players just simply don't exist anymore. But like Swafford won twice at over 100 to 1. Landry won at 200 to 1. Like these are 4 of the past 8 champions. Like Rahm won at small numbers. Siwoo won at a mid-range. Like Siwoo is the only one that sticks out in my mind that actually won at a mid-range, besides like Duffner and Bill Haas 10 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cantlay is just gonna miss the cut. I hope
so.
I hate
fucking
him
hope
so
so.
much.
Everyone hates him so much he's gonna start making cuts.
But here's the thing, like, does he's gonna lose his? Well, I guess the pro am element helps him because he's already used to playing 6-hour rounds. So I guess that won't tilt him as much. What's the? Can I slightly pivot off golf and ask you a football question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Do my Packers have any chance in hell of winning?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking if the Niners blew it. Like everyone is blowing the Niners and everyone is blowing the Ravens, like, oh, I mean, that's Cuss got off of his, like, one of his Super Bowl picks to get onto them. So, like, if the world is on two teams, like, one of them's going to slip up somewhere. Logically, it makes more sense that it would be the Ravens who slip, only because they stand to face tougher competition going. But, I mean, don't we do this with it? Aren't the Niners, like, the team, like, each of the past 3 years? It's like, oh, how could the Niners not make the Super Bowl? And they never fucking make the Super Bowl?
I mean, the Ravens game is like terrifying if you're a Niners backer because it's just like, oh, so Purdy can just go belly up. Like if they fall behind, they actually can get screwed. Um, I'm just really slightly annoyed and slightly excited because that game is Saturday night. Saturday is my birthday, so it's either going to be a great night or a terrible night for me personally, as a Packers fan.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. Like, nothing has surprised me. My picks have been so shit so far. Like, I mean, I felt good about Houston last week. I felt good about the Rams, and like, should the Rams have even? You could have made the case that the Rams should have most definitely won that game. You could make the case that they shouldn't have even covered that game. I'm working on pulling that up, by the way. That Phoenix schedule. It does seem like it is stronger. So currently committed. We'll see. Yeah. So Scheffler, Hovland, Xander, Homa, JT, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler. So it's basically the same field, except Cantlay's not playing and Victor is. And Homa's playing. But like Day isn't and some of these other guys.
Oh, wow. That's going to be the worst Phoenix field in years.
No, that's not true, though, because the Phoenix field used to kind of always be that way. There'd be like 5 really good guys, and that's what you kind of remember. Like, but you remember those guys always doing well. Like the years that Brooks won, they weren't great fields. Like they were good. They weren't great.
Yeah, and I guess like the JT, Ricky, Hideki were always somewhere on the top of the leader, like first page of the leaderboard. It seemed every year.
Yeah.
God, that was a good tournament. Is Spieth winning the Masters?
Hope not.
Just tell me yes.
Nope.
Who is then?
I don't fucking know. You think I know these things?
I figured you had somebody. I figured you had some, jabroni you were trying to recreate the Willett magic with.
Yeah, I mean, that might have been just a once in a lifetime, just lucky hit. That was nice to be a part of, but I'll try to hammer down and do it. Any politics bets for us? We got these caucuses. If people don't know, Evan, you work for the Lions, right? In terms of like sports betting, and you've been feeding me like regional Australian ridings bets for years that you can bet on Bet365 and like cashing some nice on it. Is there anything like, I mean, I don't know what Nikki Haley's odds are to win the New Hampshire primary, but I assume she's the favorite.
No, she's plus 350.
Is she? She can win that, right?
I wrote her up as a bet literally yesterday for the site at thelines.com. But the argument is very like she's not going to win anything else.
No, and
there's nothing.
Well, this is an open primary too, right? So with the Democrats, I mean, that one jabroni who's like Dean, whatever the fuck his name is that no one cares about, that you could see a bunch of like, if people don't register for the Democratic primary, they just register for the Republican one. They could just come in just to vote against Trump. That would be the reasoning, I would think.
Yeah, and we've seen New Hampshire be idiosyncratic. It gave Bernie Sanders 70% of the vote in 2016. Hillary saved her campaign in 2008 there. McCain beat Bush there in 2000. Doing badly in Iowa is not a determinate factor there. The really fun one is when I'm going to spam you with like random Australian bets in the spring when the Tasmanian government collapses or some nonsense. But yeah, no, Haley BetMGM has 350 for anybody who's wanting to do that. I mean, the fun thing is just like bet Joe Biden to win. He's gonna win again. Everyone is being
I don't. This is exactly the Hillary can't lose to Trump idea that Cust was. I think Cust even got it like published in like a national newspaper up here. He wrote a column on it.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, no one has. When was the last time you actually heard Donald Trump say anything?
I watched him the other night. He said Vivek. He pronounced his name wrong.
Before Tuesday night.
Listen, I am here. Like, look, there's a part of this election cycle where you just put Trump in front of an open microphone, and I can watch like 2-minute Twitter clips of it and just like enjoy my mornings, just having a laugh and then moving on. I'm not an American.
Oh, he's incredibly funny. Like, I hate the guy. He's incredibly funny. I was saying this to somebody. I need him to do a rally in Kansas City and like talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, just because it will be incoherent and hilarious for 2 minutes. That's all I want out of him. But no one normal has listened to Trump in a while. He's going to spend the entire Q2 this year on trial. He's going to start speaking again. People are going to pay attention, and Biden's like 2-1 to win.
Biden can't speak though. Like, this is a real problem.
Yeah, and Democrats still gained a Senate seat last year.
Well, we'll see. Listen, I just think when Trump is on the ballot, but Trump wasn't on the ballot. When Trump's on the ballot, you have a lot of people out there who say that they're not going to vote for Trump. Then they get into the ballot box and they're going to vote for Trump. Like, polling doesn't apply to him. It doesn't.
Sure. But Joe Biden had a 39% approval on election day, and he still walks out of there with gaining a Senate seat and holding Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. Like the best midterm performance of an incumbent president in 60 years for a guy who's apparently about as popular as, I don't know, Cust is on r/Dolphins.
All right. Well, we got to get this back to golf because no one wants to hear us talk about this.
Well, this is fun, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. That's Evan Scrimshaw. You can follow Evan. You got to jump off the line. I don't want to have to kick you off midway through the show, but it's just back to me. If anyone else wants to join or has some questions, wants to chime in, we're trying out different formats these days. Thoughts on Bobby Mack? I don't really have a great Bobby Mack here. I don't really have a feel for him yet. I think he needs to get acclimated to playing full-time in the States. Montgomery could go well this week, was great tee to green at Sony, but ironically his putting wasn't up to scratch. Thank you for reading my column and reiterating what I said about him back to me. That's just fantastic stuff, Mark Green. Give your fucking head a shake. It's not a question either, by the way. Underdog just tweeted Berger hitting one drive. That should drive up some ownership for us. Fantasy National has the Underdog ADPs up right now as well. Like if you jump over, wish I had more screens. Let's see here. If I jump to Fantasy National, there we go. And now I fade over. If you guys think this show is absolute dog shit, let me know, by the way. And then I won't do it this way again. But like I said, I just want to try different formats. Yeah, Underdog ADP. It's basically just completely generated by ADP. I don't know why I loaded my custom model into it for this week only. But you can see like Scheffler's at the top. He's going first. And that's just the way. I really shouldn't have put my custom model on when I switched it over. There we go. If you sort by salary will be ADP. Oh, Custy Pete. Forgot about that guy. So you have like Scheffler, Hovland. This is the order that they're all going in. We just rounded to the closest number because that made the most sense on our system. So if you are doing underdog drafts, this would be a way that you can do it. All right, so I'm gonna highlight this. I'm back to where I'm frozen. Pat with the frozen look. Pat has no memory and cannot play. We're catching back up here. Let's see. Does anyone actually want to jump on and ask a question? Like I said, you don't have to be on the show right now. So just put it in the bottom of the chat and I can send you to the Zoom link that I just sent to Evan if you want to jump in. In the meantime, I will answer some more questions. Wondering how injured Maverick McNeely is. He's not anymore. He's actually playing on a medical exemption. He needs 25 FedEx Cup points to get his card back. So he's going to get that. So he's just playing himself into form right now. We gotta go back down. Blair and Hubbard popping in everyone's models. Do you really think they stay below 5%? Yes, probably. And maybe they're the two guys that people go too low, and I'm just not seeing it, but I'm not seeing it right now. Thoughts on favorite Canadian? Tyler Pendrith. Taylor Pendrith, my favorite Canadian, is someone I like. Min Woo, confirmed winning. Well, listen, I'm going to have a ton of lineups with him, so I wouldn't be too bummed about that if I can win it on the DraftKings side. Any intriguing super long punch you're looking at? Yep. I mean, I already gave them out, so that happened at 12:59 in the show, if that's where you want to go with it. Bobby Mack or you? I'll go with Bobby Mack. I already did this ranking. I have JT. That's not a fucking question. Thoughts on Justin Thomas in one and done? Would you save him for somewhere else? I think with his talent level, I would save him for somewhere else. And you might actually get him at a more jabroni tournament if things aren't starting to go well. I just want to see him with a modicum of form coming in. I mean, maybe this is the time to do it because literally no one will be using him in one and done. So if you want to take that chance, absolutely go for it. But, when we get to, I don't know, Valspar or something like that, and he's starting to play a little bit better golf, that maybe that's a better time to do it if he has to do it. Mav versus Will Gordon for DK. I mean, neither for me. Who's the just play both guys this week? I think we said it was Montgomery and Putnam together. We were trying to pick of like, oh, that guy's going to be chalk and that guy's going to be chalk. What if we just play them together and go for it? Do you take more chances on the 6K range in a tourney like this and Pebble when you're guaranteed the 3 rounds? Well, Pebble is no cut this year. I don't think so because it's an elevated event. I think that's one of the no cut ones. I actually spoke, I don't want to just rehash it, but at the beginning of yesterday's DraftKings show, I asked Hambo this particular question. So he spends like 5 minutes breaking it down. He's better at explaining that stuff than I am. So I'd recommend that you go check it out. The answer is no. Short answer. Keith Mitchell, Horschel, Kuchar. Rank them. Let's go with Horschel, Kuchar, Mitchell would be where I'm going. What would you say is your biggest bad habit when playing DFS or betting? Just playing too much. Oh, especially with betting this week. Like I just got Matty Schmidt. I like Matty Schmidt coming up. I got to bet him. Like I didn't really betting too early and then changing my mind 2 days later and then not cashing out a bet here and betting someone else, just letting it all ride, just systematically chipping away at my bankroll when I don't need to, even with like $5 bets or $10 bets or $20 bets or whatever it might be, whatever you're usually betting for just like, oh, that's a fun one. I'll put something on that. And just that's a fucking drains your bankroll. Like not being committed to actual bankroll management, just kind of like having a good time and letting it ride and pressing buttons, as Cam always said, is probably my biggest downfall. And I think that's the biggest downfall for a lot of people as well. Are we expecting Montgomery to start the same hot run as he did last season? Hope so. Bet him to win, so that would be great. Best wedge player in your opinion? Overall, Morikawa might be the best wedge player. Spieth is still amazing. Someone hop on with him. Love to see what he's willing to let subscribers on live. So far, it went well. Yeah, no one else wants to come on. It's crazy. Maybe you're at like work and you can't do it. We need Cust and this guy on the same program. Evan weirdly is he's the historian of the Pat Mayo experience. Like when I need to have a time code from a show 3 years ago, his memory just goes like that. He gives me the time code. He gives me the show. So if you're ever wondering why I can just like pull up clips from anywhere, it's because Evan. He's the one who can do it. He watches like every show for the past 8 years. Same as Rob McIntyre does the Custies for us. I think he's like 26 now. He's watched every show since he was 17 years old. Probably why he's a warped human being, but this is where we're at. I will look at wedge play. I'll bring this up at Fantasy National right now. We'll just take a look at this. We'll go out of a custom stat model. And this is why I love Fantasy National so much. Because it's like super easy. You know, green is good, red is bad. But just being able to mess around with it like this, I actually want to go to the rolling report is what I want to do. So we'll go to rolling report. In the stat we're going to pick. And listen, different guys hit wedges from different distances. I'll just say blanket 100 to 125. But if you wanted to take 75 to 125, 75 to 150 and put those into a model and do it, then that would be a way that we could, go forward with it. But this is just a very simple way to do it. We can look at who's been doing it well short term right now versus long term as well. So last 12 rounds in this stat. Oh, KKJ is playing. And Adrian Dumont de Chahay. Let's see here. Adam Scott. Oh, yeah, because I have Underdog turned back on. Jesus Christ. For this field. I guess, that probably wouldn't be the worst to look at. Adam Scott, short term, is the best wedge player in the field, apparently. He's not in the field, but is overall. But I have no idea when those stats are coming from. So what I want to do is take a look at past 12 rounds, and we'll take a look at past 100 rounds, and see if anyone's kind of consistently along that line. Because you have the ones in your mind. Like Zach Johnson is still amazing with his wedges. If Stricker comes back and plays, he's amazing with his wedges as well. They just don't do the other things so well. So the best of the past 12 rounds in this tournament is Tom Kim. So Tom Kim, one of the best wedge players. Andrew Landry, who's a winner at this course, one of the best wedge players. You can see that at least over the past 24 rounds, he's usually slightly above average, but Nick Taylor has been dialed in. Merritt has gone from being objectively bad from that range to one of the best from that range, and that's even over a sample of the past 24. Hadwin, who's played very well at this tournament. Kazire, who has played very well at this tournament over the years. You can see that Noren has gotten a lot better in the short term versus his long term. Bo Hostler would be very much the same way. Mathieu Pavon, who I am using in some of my lineups, has been good since he's at least joined the PGA Tour. I don't know enough about his performance on the DP World Tour statistically to give you an accurate assessment of how good he is as a wedge player in general, but he rates out there very well for the moment. Finau, Thaman, Shelton, Vince Whaley, Stallings, Neesmith, Seamus Power, who's not in the field anymore, who I had bet this week before they gave it back. Smalley, Taryn, Long, who is a winner here. Lowry, Montgomery, Bobby Mack. And there's a case for Bobby Mack. There's Eric Cole, Cole's Hole. Scheffler is up there as well. He's probably, I would say that Scheffler is better from 125 to 150 if I had to bet on it. And that's more of his wedge range because he's such a big hitter. So if we go past 100 rounds, longer term sample, you got Cole, Villegas, JT. Yeah, JT, I totally spaced on JT. Horschel, Landry again, Hoagie, who has two, top fives? He was at least third or second 2 years ago here. Kazire, the Teats, Sam Ryder, Shane Lowry, Bezadenhout, Smalley, Burns, Reevy, Hadwin, Finau, Tom Kim, Dylon, woo, is up there. There's Chris Kirk, someone who historically plays really well at this tournament. So Wyndham Clark, much better in the longer term than the shorter term in terms of wedges. Wish I had looked at that before I bet him at 45 to 1, but here we are. So that's just, a simple way that you can go through it. We can kind of do that same sort of thing from 125 to 150. If you can bear with me for the time to do it, I'll check in to see if anyone has decided they want to join the chat or not. Let's see here. Just go down to the bottom. No one wants to jump on. Kind of crazy. I always thought that people would want to jump on. Maybe they just want to talk to Cust and not me. Maybe that's really the key behind all of this. But I like this wedge question. This is a good question. And this is one of the reasons that I like the chat. Just stuff, stuff I haven't talked about, or of course I got that frozen now because I've been jumping around. There we go. So past 100 from this particular range, Kirk is the best. Tom Kim. So we see Tom Kim in both. Scheffler, I was correct. Scheffler is fourth from that range in particular. Nick Taylor is also up there. So I'm digging Nick Taylor more and more by the second when we start looking at these wedge ranges. Bhatia, Fowler, Thomas, Rye, Davis, Hoagie, Cantlay, Finau, Lowry is still there. Burns is still there in the long term. Montgomery, Flea Market, Yagabombs. He's checking out. Hoagie is still there as well. Villegas popped up in both. Bobby Shelton popped up in both as well. Interesting. And if we go shorter term, we say past, 24 rounds, Shelton's actually number one. So let's take a look at Shelton for a second. See if this is someone we can uncover. Fourth at the Zozo, made the cut last week. Good irons, good putting, terrible driver, terrible chipper. This is known. How was he at the American Express? He was sixth here a year ago. There you go. Didn't even remember that. But yeah, that's why the wedges. Duffner was a winner at this course in the past. Ryan Moore, historically over the past decade, one of the best wedge players in the world. Bhatia is up there again. Reevy's made a few runs at this tournament in the past. We saw Montgomery come inside the top 6 last year, but he also rates out really well, both longer term and shorter term. Davis Thompson is someone who finished second or third here last year. He's up there. So maybe this is one of the key ones to go look at. There's Putnam, Aaron Rye, Lindheim, Bhatia, Damon, Cam Davis, Bezadenhout again. Zalatoris, Lowry continues to be around there. Oh man, Pearson Cootie! Huh! Imagine if he got a win this week at the American. I have an American Express black card. No wonder. I just pay to win this tournament. They don't even need to pay me. Ben Coles is up there as well. Maybe I should have used Cootie. $6,200. Power, Siwoo, Jaeger, they're in the 50s when we talk about ranked short term. But that's where we're kind of looking at a little bit for this one. But yeah, that's a really good question. I really like that question. Stuff that hadn't occurred to me to go look at more in depth. I wish I would do that more on the research show, but I'm just trying to gather my bearings as we go through. When people actively have the chance to ask me questions, it's really nice sometimes because you get that sort of thing. Why don't you have a super chat option? Because I don't, once I was thinking about doing that. If I do more live shows, I probably will. And yeah, it'd be nice to build up money, and I would use that money to either give it away or put into some sort of prize pool, enhance the studio, whatever it might be. We'll see about that. Non-golf question. Would Cuss' employer allow him to work from home? If they didn't know simple keyboard commands like control copy, you'd be shocked. At the people who work with Cust and how little they know about computers. It's kind of hilarious. Are the sportsbooks going to start posting shittier numbers on the bottom barrel of guys if a few more of these bombs start coming through? They already are. I don't see why not. What team does Cust hate? That's the team that goes all the way. Would be the Buccaneers. He doesn't hate the Buccaneers. He picked the Buccaneers to win this week over the Lions, the team that he said was going to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. He hates the Bills. He does not want to see the Bills. If the Masters was this week, what number would Justin Thomas be? I don't even know his number is right now. He'd probably be 50 to 1, I would guess. just because of the history. Jason Day for one and done. That is Cuss one and done this week. Is he a better fit somewhere else? I mean, no one's using him. Wouldn't be crazy. When we say it's a putting contest, does that mean target good putters or that putting stats aren't relevant? I think you could play that either way that you want to play it. It's very difficult to judge who is going to putt well during the course of a week. These are smaller greens, so there are fewer three putts, fewer lag putting that goes on. They're slower greens, so some guys that putt better on slower greens that are atrocious on faster greens like Bhatia, they would have more of an advantage this week. That doesn't mean they're not going to putt like shit. They very may as well putt like shit. Like Denny withdrew from this tournament. You saw last week, like Denny's like been the best putter over the past 5 years on tour. Couldn't make a putt last week, and therefore he missed the cut. So it's hard to put it in. When I did the show last year with Brandon DeGula of Number Fire, he did find that the 5 to 10 range and the 10 to 15 range are far more sticky than any of the other putting ranges. That guys that are good from that range, and those are the scoring ranges as well, where you make birdies and eagles from, generally speaking. And to pair those with opportunities gained would be the best way to look at it. That's where I would be going. Anyway, I don't have a good answer for that. I don't care about Trump Biden whatsoever, but honestly, are Biden voters really going to switch their votes to Trump? And are Trump voters going to switch their votes to Biden? Seems like a no and a no. My take on that, political science major over here with a focus on American elections is what I took in college, that turnout was an all-time high on both sides. A lot of that due with mail-in voting. And there was a rallying cry that so many people were anti-Trump that didn't come out to vote for Hillary, that they came out to vote for Biden just as a vote to go against Trump. And then the Trump people, who were the Trump supporters who wanted him back in, more of them came out. And listen, a lot of people did really well under Trump. That's the part that the crooked mainstream media doesn't tell you, that until COVID hit, when I looked at my stocks, they were fucking through the roof. I like that. That was good. And that's honestly, like, with all the social issues and immigration, like, those are the things that make headlines on news channels because they get people fired up. Those are emotional issues. Honestly, and some people do vote that way. And what Trump did by loading the Supreme Court with conservative justices, even if evangelicals didn't vote for him last time, he did that for them. They are going to come out and vote for him this time because of that. That was their one issue. He was very good at picking off one issue things for lower blocks of voters and doing that for them to basically lock in their vote if he ever came around again. But when it comes to overall how people vote, because most people, generally speaking, are still in the middle at some way, slightly left, slightly right, and they can kind of go either way, depends on what they want. And most people just want more money. They want their stocks to do well. Those are your real swing voters that financially, you'd say that most people that way would vote Republican. But if you have your failing middle class right now, and you have an opportunity to say, well, the economy can rebound. And I think it's probably unfair, going up or down, to pin a lot of it on Biden for a terrible economy. I'm in Canada. The economy is terrible here. Anyone in one of the G8 countries is probably suffering through housing crisis, mass inflation, and a terrible economy at the moment that looks like it's going into a recession. That's a global thing. That's not pinned on any one person because of policies within a country. It's a global phenomenon right now. And it's eventually going to come out of it. When? Who knows? If it happens in 3 months, it's great news for Biden, and Biden will probably win. If it's still in the tubes, a lot of those people who are in the middle are just going to say, yeah, I'm just going to vote for Trump. Things were great until COVID hit. That wasn't his fault. And my stocks will go up, and my retirement will go back up, and my taxes, the taxes didn't really go down from what I can tell from most people, but if the stock portfolio goes up, that's great for some people, and I doubt you're going to get the complete turnout on either side, just like last time, because there's now apathy. People came out to vote against Trump. He's been out of sight, out of mind, so the Biden vote goes down, and then just the Trump vote goes down that way, but if it doesn't go down by that much, especially in the key states, he could lose the popular vote and win the Electoral College. It all makes kind of one-to-one sense, but we still have a long time to go in this election. I wouldn't be wagering the odds on it right now, but just on like a state by state, one of the biggest bets that I ever won, and the markets at the time were a little bit different. And it was actually Evan who helped me out on the polling data in 2016 was the Michigan open, I don't know if it was an open primary or not. I can't remember with Michigan, but it was Bernie versus Hillary. And I bet Bernie at 33-1 to beat Hillary in Michigan. He ended up winning by 0.9% or something like that. But I had a ton of money on it because the polling was showing it was basically a coin flip what the polling the few days were up to that actual primary, but the odds had never shifted on it. So you're like, man, I might as well smash this 33 to 1 at a price that should be like 2 to 1 or plus 150. Like that's when you want to get in and try to take it. Now, not every place offers election and primary and caucus voting, but some places do. And generally those markets aren't reactive like most sports markets are. So just keep that in mind if that's something you want to get into. I think it's a beatable market if you have access to it. And that's the way that I choose to look at it right now. Like, I'm not American. I suppose I would have my personal preferences, but I don't have a vote, so it doesn't really matter. So I try to look at it of trying to predict out what is going to happen and what voter tendencies tend to be and try to match that with odds and try to win money on it. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Anyway, that's Pat's political betting portion of the show. Back to golf. Do you feel the need to use all the salary when making lineups? No, not at all. Actually, I have it capped, I think. Let's see. I can jump back over and take a look at the last few lineups that I generated. You can see them as well. I do have the max salary. I usually have that set to $49.50 or $49.90 and just always inherently leave $100 on the table, but then I max it back out to $50,000 because in the fantasy national system, when you mess around with it, be like, oh, because I have these evened out pretty evenly amongst my players, so I get like at least 20% up to 50% of all players in these 10 lineups with this core that I generated. So I think I did one that was more stacked with this core of 10, and then a more balanced of these 10. But let's say I only wanted 20% Pendrith. When I max out the 50, it gives me more options to max out each of the lineups. If you have a cap at the top and you want to move your shares of players around on Fantasy National, a non-maxed out salary might limit you in what you're able to do if you want to disperse your players a little bit better in that sense. Awesome show. I vote yes. All right. Thanks, Stewie. You're always here. No one has mentioned Justin Suh. Is he live? Oh, live, sorry, at the Amex. I always like Justin Suh. Apparently he played in the field last week, which I did not know whatsoever. I have no idea how he did last week. Just was not on my radar whatsoever. Let's see. Sony Open, missed the cut, lost strokes on approach, gained strokes putting. That's kind of par for the course of what Justin Suh does. If you can ever catch him when he gains strokes on approach, except for that one time at Honda when he just like lapped the field, and couldn't actually fucking make a putt. But dude made putts all last year, and then he kind of went not into the toilet, but just when your entire thing is gaining 5 strokes a week on the green, then you stop gaining 5 strokes a week on the green, then the bad chipping and the bad approach play doesn't look so good. I want to see him turn it around at least for another week right now. If I miss out, I'm bummed that I missed out, but shit happens when you party naked, so I'm not going to be betting everyone. Anytime we get a live PME, I'm in. Keep them going and smash the like. Has to be Poston and Bobby Mack this week. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what that's. Everyone's betting Poston. Everyone's playing Poston. Everyone's betting Poston. Good luck to him if he wins. And good congratulations to everyone. I'm not doing either. I'm not playing him on DraftKings. I'm not using him as a one and done. I'm not betting him. Someone hop on with him. I love that he's willing to let subscribers go on live. So far, so good. All right, thanks, Chris. Is Scheffler the new Spieth, i.e. crush for a year or two and then forget how to putt and become mental? Maybe. Any love for Sam Ryder? Yeah. I mean, Sam Ryder rates out fantastically. I'm just not going there this week. People are, though. He is one of the guys that actually projects out very well this week. Norin or Shank? Norin. Do you think a 3-9K build is going to be the standard? I do not. Based on the ownership, I do not think that's going to be the case at all. I think that is a unique build. I don't like politics, but Trump being in would create another bull market, and that is what we all want. I don't know if that's what we all want, but I do think that's actually like an outcome of all of this. What is the website that you use when you look up stats on the show? I am new here. That's fantasynational.com. You can hit the link in the description, fantasynational.com/Mayo. That gives you 20% off all of those tools. Weekly or monthly show where Pat hosts and Cust just takes political questions. That could be fire. We covered the 2016 election primary season on both sides as a betting show when I was at Fantasy. And it went pretty well. It's good for people who know what we're doing. Like you very good people who are tuned in right now. You would understand that like we're talking about it from, and listen, there's always going to be biases when anyone talks about politics. No one is straight down the middle on every issue. People are lying if they tell you that, because that does affect your analysis, whatever. But if you can get the data right and mix the polling together and talk about it in terms of betting odds and what's realistically going to happen, you can have a very civil conversation without giving your slant on things, which would be what I would want to do. But inevitably, when you start talking about politics, you get crazy people from both sides who just kind of blow it up. And my life is pretty good at the moment. I just don't want to have to deal with that stress. And like, those people are fucking crazy. And like, I just don't want to have to deal with them. So that's kind of the problem about doing that. I would like, and listen, maybe I'm too soft these days. I just don't want to have to deal with it. But that's where I'm at. More questions. We already did that one. Can Cuss stop picking my guys? Sorry, Jack. That's just a problem. A weekly or monthly show, just did that one. 169 people and under 100 likes. Give your head a shake and smash that like button. Yeah, do that. And sub to the newsletter. Auto downloads while you subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast to get in that 5%. I guess it'd be 1% overall because it's going to 5 people. That Tambo draw, you could win up to $5,000. And it would really help me out. So please go do that. And the newsletter, fresh, coming back out tonight too. As someone from the UK, US politics is a mess, even as compared to our hellhole. I think everyone kind of feels that way. I mean, I just find US politics fascinating because the UK system, the Canadian system, the parliamentary system is just, it's the same system essentially, but we don't have the House of Lords. We just have our Senate, which is unelected, which just is absolute jabroni, part of the government that doesn't do anything. But it's just completely different. Like, you can't even directly vote for who's going to be prime minister in Canada, which is, I think people get confused in America when they're talking about like our prime minister. You have to vote for the party, the leader of the party that ends up either with the majority of ridings across the country or in a coalition to make up a majority, or at least the plurality more than any other party than anything, would then become prime minister. It's not like I can just vote for Justin Trudeau. I actually have no way to do that. I have to vote for the candidate in my riding that I like the best, and inherently that becomes a vote for people at the federal level in terms of who leads the party. So just different on that. On break at work and getting high, listen to some Pat Mayo. There we go. It's the best way to spend a lunch break. Seems like the 77 to 73 range is a dead range. You like anyone from that range. Let's jump back over to fantasynational.com and check out. Is anyone watching Traitors, by the way, with Alan Cumming? Fucking love Traitors. Pissed my guy. I don't want to spoil it. My guy, the first guy voted out, but it's been that's something I would actually like to do, a recap of Traitors every single week, because I've been digging it. It's on Peacock. If you just signed up for Peacock to watch that stupid game, you can watch Peacock live I don't know if it's live, but it comes out every Thursday, and there's 3 episodes out already. Episode 4 this week. Very easy to catch up. They dropped the first 3 all at the same time. So what was that range? 77 to 74. I played Van Rooyen and Nick Taylor, and those are probably the 2 most popular guys from that range. Played Pendrith just above it. I'm not really digging anyone here. Let's see if the actual stat model likes anyone from in there. And load it up. I went through all of this on the research show. It has remained unchanged throughout the course of the week. And check this out a little bit more. And just throwing that out there one more time. If anyone does want to jump on, just let me know in the chat. I can send you a DM link to a Zoom. You can jump on, ask a question. We can kind of chat it out as we're going through. If that's something you want to, apparently people don't want to do it. Even if you're another creator out there and you got some time on your hands to do it, jump on. Everyone's welcome on the Pat Mayo Experience, except for one guy. You know who you are. Never allowed. I'm just kidding. That's not a real thing. Let's see. In this range, Hostler rates out well. Billy Ho rates out well. I think he made a run on Sunday at the Sony. Ryu, he's... eventually I'll learn his name. And then you have... Taylor rates out so poorly. It's kind of hilarious. He must have had one really bad tournament to sink his stats. But Eric Van Rooyen, 16th. Hubbard and Ryder, are top 15, as is Matty Schmidt, number 14. Michael Kim, number 19. Chesson Hadley, 21. Ben Coles, 13th. The Gim Reaper, number 9. Ryan Moore, number 4. Like, those are the guys. But in that range, EVR, Ryu, Horschel would be the 3 best plays. Shank is pretty close. Hoagie is pretty close. What is going on with Nick Taylor, though? Why is he rated out so poorly? Did he have a terrible century? Oh, yeah. Did he ever? And the Tour Championship. So, he had a bad playoff run. And he played really well last week because he tends to play really well last week. He has not played well at this tournament, in fairness, over time. Nothing better than a T20 in his career, and he plays it basically every year. But I'm still going to go with him this week. I thought his odds would drop more than they did. I thought he would close at 75-1, and he did not. He did stick at like 100-1, I think. I think there's even maybe some other places, too, where you can still get him at 125 if you want to. Pat, do you dabble on DK Rainmakers? Nope. No, I don't. Shit, I totally forget who does it. I think it's the Model Maniac who's doing some Rainmakers content. I think he's at Rotoballer, but just at the Model Maniac. He's going to be on the show really soon. Byron, he was on the show last year when we were all, me, him, and Alex Bickle at FTN, we're all competing for Fantasy Golf Writer of the Year. Alex won, but we all did a show together to celebrate our accomplishments. But I think Byron covers Rainmakers. At least he was covering Rainmakers. Just logged on, so it may have been missed. Is there any chance Horschel is quite good again? Yeah, maybe. It's very possible. Now that I think about it, I probably should have added him into the player pool. Maybe I can go back and do it. Anything you've seen on Cam Champ that doesn't look horrible? Let's find out. Again, this is one of the great things about having Fantasy National. Have all of this at your fingertips. Going, Cam Champ, 69. Nice, $100. Well, he was great off the tee last week. Couldn't hit approach to save his fucking life. Couldn't putt, couldn't chip. He can never chip. He does putt really well every third event, it seems, or he loses like 5 strokes. The approach had been good at the conclusion of last year, but overall it's been pretty bad. And while good drivers have done really well at this course, I think like Vegas, Vegas, Rom, Swafford is very good off the tee, so it's not impossible for a really good driver of the ball to do well at this course, but it seems like he would have to go nuclear with his putter and just be like slightly better than average with his irons, which is just a really big ask for him. So he's not dead. I think you can make a case for him. I just don't think that case is super compelling at the same time. Cole going to be the most owned one and done. I think he'll be second. I think that Poston will be first. Are you guys doing a live show at the Waste Management? No, I am not. But Tambo and Degenerate75 will be doing shows because they're going to the Waste Management Open. And I know that they're doing a get-together either at Topgolf or the casino that like you hit the balls towards. I did my bachelor party there as well, Evan. It was a great time. Get a spot between 6 and 7, lay down on that hill. You can drink all day, see 6 green, see all the par 3s at number 7. Don't even try for 16 would be my best advice because you're going to have to wait. You have to be in line at like 4 a.m. And listen, I got married later in life. My bachelor party was when I was like 31. There was no way that was happening. I was probably still up drinking from the night before, but I just would have been dead if I was there. So that would be my advice. Between 6 and 7, there's a little hill that you can see it's a longer par 3, number 7. You can see all the tee shots in there, and then you can see all the approaches on this really cool double-tiered green on number 6 coming in. So that's a fun spot where you can see a ton of shots. But I know Tambo, Degenerate75, and Hoop, and those guys are all doing a meetup with people. If you just message them, I don't even think you need to be a Ship It Nation member or anything. It's just people who are just chill in the community that just kind of want to meet up, talk some golf, meet some people, and meet the people in the community. I know that they are doing things. And I think they're even hosting an open bar as a part of that as well. So, yeah, if you're around, go do it. And that code Mayo at Ship It Nation will get you in that draw as well if that's something that you want to try out. Are you guys doing? No, I'm not doing a live show. We might try to do a live thing at the President's Cup. I'm working on a lot of different things right now, as I've kind of like alluded to a few times, but never explicitly said. The show might be changing, not in a significant way, but in ways. For the better, I think, at least, and adding some live shows and going on location would be it. UK version of Traders is sensational. Haven't tried any of the other ones. I watched season 1 of UK. I really liked UK. I like this version of the American one. Season 1 was okay. It was like half reality people, half real people. This one was just all reality TV people. And here's the thing about reality, like professional reality TV people, they know how to bring good TV. And they actually picked like legitimate all-stars from the reality TV world. And if you haven't watched House of Villains yet on E, watch House of Villains. It is the best reality show I've watched in like 10 years. It was fucking awesome. Okay, consider how the 6,000 is. Who will be the lowest salary player you were confident to play? I went over this all at the beginning of the show. Vegas was the one, but then I capped it at 71 and went down. I've changed my one and done 3 times since the start of the show. Got to trust my gut. Listen, don't listen to me. I don't ever come in the fucking money. So just do what you do. Go on with it. Have you seen the BBC show The Gold? Great new series, like 5 episodes, easy watch. I have not. Let's see. Robert Evans, create another bull market. Have you seen the market today? Yeah, I mean, I've seen my stocks over the past 6 months as well. So yeah, today we're doing well. Let's see. I got green screens when I swipe over. But have everything go way back up. Do you ever consider acting professionally? I think you'd be great. I had considered it, but there's one character I can play. That is me. And that's really about it. Pat, I watch your show to escape politics. Drives me crazy listening to crazies. Well, Robert, maybe people think that you're crazy too. Have you ever considered that? It's the Pat Mayo experience. Pat Mayo will talk about whatever the fuck he wants to talk about. If you don't watch, it's not going to bother me. So fuck off. See, this is why I can't do the politics show, because I'll just get mad about it like this. And I don't want to have to get mad. Sub to the channel, by the way. Any update on Wyndham Clark to live? It seems like it fell through. Although, if he does go to live after winning this event, that would make sense, because you got Rahm and Hudson Swafford. They all left. That's what the 2 past winners. So add Clark to that list and we'd be good to go. All right, I think that's going to do it for me. How deep are we into this? Yeah, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I enjoyed this a lot. Do you do a cut sweat every week or only at bigger tourneys? I do the cut sweat at bigger tourneys. I did it on Twitter last week just because I was home. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Do you bet many head-to-heads? Nope. Starting to look more into them. Wondered if you thought there was an edge there. I think there could be an edge, especially day by day. It just, I get burnt out about looking at everything. By the time the weekend comes along, that's usually the best time to do it. However, as I alluded to, there might be a rejig of the show, that there might be a golf best bet show coming every single week, like the football best bet show, to have some more Cam in our lives and maybe some other people around. So, like I said, leave the ratings and review on Apple and Spotify. That stuff helps me out when I go and try to pitch new shows as well. And, and maybe extending that one and maybe doing a live hour every day with the pre-tape version that I normally do to have stuff going on. Anyway, that's why just a lot of stuff like that can really help out. So that really does help me out. Newsletter, both Apple and Spotify would be huge. fantasynational.com/Mayo, 20% off. The Listeners League is in the description, so please let's go fill that up. That stuff really matters as well when we get into it. And if you ever want to make a custom one and done league, the race for the Mayo Cup is locked. We've already started, obviously. That's at fantasygolfchampionships.com. However, even if you still wanted to start right now and do one for starting at the Farmers for the rest of the year, you can go do that at fantasygolfchampionships.com. Create a custom one and done league for your work buddies, you and your friends, whatever it might be that just you guys are in. You can use League Safe in order to use all the money. It'll pay out the people once the tournament has done, when you select the payouts that you want. If you just want someone to track it for you, that's the way to do it. Oh, we got more questions all of a sudden. Have you watched Traders? I just talked about Traders. The fuck are you talking about? Have I watched? No, you're not going to put me in a bad mood. My morning went too efficiently. That's why I was able to do this show. I had a haircut. I had a chiropractic appointment. I had to go to Costco and go to the bank, and was able to get those all accomplished simultaneously by the second without any delays. And my shoulder's feeling a lot better after the chiropractic treatment, so I've been in a good mood. But no, we're not doing that to me. What made you choose to fire the 6 tee to green with lineup builds with Tambo versus the $5? Because I wanted to play the smaller contest. I didn't want to, I think the $6, what is the $6? Like 5,600 people versus 27,000. I mean, I won a 5,600 person one last week. I'm actively trying to play smaller GPPs when I'm multi-entering. And if it means I'm crippling myself in terms of upside, then so be it. I've actually won a few of the 5,000, 6,000 person ones. I've never won one of the 30,000, 50,000 ones that, I don't know. You can pick your poison when it comes to it. Awesome show. More Cam. Love Cam. Smash a like if you love Cam. Rate and review if you want good fortunes. There we go. Thanks. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. I enjoyed this kind of lunchtime chat. I would hope that maybe if I try this again, and probably not next week because the tournament will be started next week. Yeah, next week starts Wednesday. It's Wednesday to Saturday. I think all golf shows, or all golf until football ends, should be Wednesday to Saturday. But that's just me. And that's just more convenient for my life, to tell you the truth. But I think it would be great for everyone. But I like the show. I had fun doing it. I would like to meet some of the people who are always in the chat and everything, if you feel comfortable with tuning in. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'll try to get a guest who we can kind of rap with the entire time. Who knows? Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo, and I will see you next time.